Hey everyone, today I'm doing something a little different. Today I'm going to be doing a full review of Free League Publishing's Cyborg tabletop RPG. And this is a derivative from the Morkborg game that they have. Now, I really didn't want to do a review as of yet on the channel. As you know, I have not done any reviews in the last year and a half. And the reason for this, there are a few really. One is, who cares what I have to say? I don't think that I have enough people for a lot of people to care about what I think about a particular tabletop RPG to the extent that, you know, this is going to add weight to their decision. Also, on top of that, this is subjective, right? This is a creative endeavor. One man's garbage, another man's treasure, that kind of thing. So I'm thinking about it partway in those terms, but in the same token, I'm also thinking about it this way. When we go and we want to buy something, what's the thing we do? Normally we're looking at reviews. We want to make sure that we're getting the most bang for our buck. So we look at reviews, look at other people's experiences, and a review can actually serve people and help people out. So I have that on there. So I'm doing this review for that reason. That's a high reason why I'm doing it. But there's another one, and this would be probably the highest reason why I'm doing it, is because I said that I was going to do something by the 20th. I told Free League that. And it's the 20th. So I had to put something together. And so here we are with my first full-length review. There's a couple things to keep in mind here. Number one, this channel is not sponsored by Free League, because I know if you've been following, then you're probably looking at things and going, man, this is like the third game he's done by them in a short amount of time, because I did the Vaesen unboxing recently. And then just a week or so ago, we did Blade Runner because it just came out. But that was a one-off because they sent me that and I didn't ask for it. I actually asked for Cyborg, but they sent me Blade Runner, just kind of like an extra thing. So I could have done that later, but I wanted to get on that the day it released. And I told them, okay, well, you know, because we were talking back and forth through email, and I told them, okay, they wanted to know when the video was coming out because, you know, they're giving out this stuff and they ain't just giving it out for free. You know, they want us to do reviews or they want us to do something highlighted on our channel. So I told them 20th. Well, it's the 20th and I am going to keep my word. I like to be a man of integrity, which is something that is rare to almost non-existent today because most people don't think that keeping your word is something that's important, but I digress. So we are going to get into this review of Cyborg by Free League Publishing. So before we do that, first, if you're new to the channel, this is the first time you're coming by, welcome. This is RPG Elite, the place where we put the RP back into RPG. And what I do here is give you tools, give you tips, tutorials, real talk about the tabletop RPG space and culture. Yeah, the kind of talk that makes you squirm, makes you feel just a wee bit uncomfortable, but we got to talk about it. It absolutely is relevant to what we're dealing with in the tabletop RPG space. And I do all of that stuff so that you can have a more immersive and enjoyable tabletop experience and understand the depth and the blessing that we have with tabletop RPGs. For all my leets out there, I want to say, give a shout out, what's up, and let's slide on into this, folks. And before we do that, I want to lay out the criteria that I use in order to do a review of a tabletop RPG. And these are the same criteria I'm going to use for every tabletop RPG review that I do on the channel. So there are 7 different criteria, different aspects of a tabletop RPG that I look at to grade a tabletop RPG. Number 1, the aesthetics. Number 2, the character creation process. Number 3, the core system and how the core mechanic works in that system. Number 4, the advancement system and how all that works. Number 5, the combat. Number 6, the lore, whether there is some, whether there isn't. And number 7, what I would call the system accessories, those things that kind of move the needle either in the negative direction or in the positive direction. Just little things, little rules and things throughout the game that I was like, hey, that's cool. Hey, that's cool. Or, hey, that's whack. Or what's that doing here? Those kind of things. Each one of those criteria, I give a grade from A to F. A to F has a numerical value. And what we will do afterwards is we will give the overall average and final score of the tabletop RPG that I'm reviewing. So that's how we're going to review this one. Now, just to let you know a little ditty, me personally, I will not play a tabletop RPG that I review that doesn't have at least a B for a grade. And I'm not talking about B minus, I'm talking about a B. And if you're an RPG elite, I really suggest that you raise that standard and keep that standard up there because, again, listen, if it's not a good game, then why in the world are you going to waste your time and money? You don't want to do that. And I don't want you to waste your time and money. Now, again, your mileage is going to vary on this because this is subjective. So I understand, because I've already had people say, oh, well, I really like this game or whatever. So I'm going to disappoint you. I'm telling you that right now. Again, Free League does not sponsor this. Okay. Even though I've been doing a lot of Free League stuff, they do not sponsor my channel, and you're about to see that that's true. So I'm giving you a little bit of a heads up on what's coming with Cyborg. So let's get into the first aspect and go right on down the line. Well, how do I say this? This is a hot mess. Another way I could say it is, it's ghastly. Oh my goodness. This is a visual cacophony. I swear. This is does not look good. Just as far as the art. Okay. Now again, this is subjective. And if it was just the art, there would be nothing wrong with it. But it gets worse because they put this over into the actual text itself. The text is big, the text is small, the text is different, the text is all kinds of different sizes and everything and all the rest of that. And it just lends to a bad reader experience. They make it so difficult for you because of just all these different kind of things. And I get it. I get why they did that. They got a certain mood that they're trying to bring into it, right? But I'm telling you, at some point, you gotta let that stuff go and think more about the reader. You have to think about them and their experience and what they will go through. Therefore, this hot mess, I can give nothing but an F. Now, the character creation is not bad. Not all that bad. A couple issues here and there, but not all that bad. For example, you can make a character about, I don't know, 20, 25 minutes. It's pretty fast. And it's probably a little bit faster if you go with one of the classes that they have. And I think it's about 5 or 6 of them that you can choose from. But if you're like me, not really into classes, really want to just pick and choose what you want, have a classless character, they do have that as well. Thumbs up on that. Good deal. So if you want to go either way, you can. The character sheet looks whack. I don't like it. Gosh, I can't stand it. I just don't like it. But that has more to do with aesthetics, so I've already covered that. But when we're looking at the actual abilities themselves, so we're looking at presence and strength and all the rest of that stuff. When you're looking at those, the abilities themselves are -3 to +3, and you had to roll randomly in terms of getting them. And then your abilities you put in there are just modifiers, which goes to anything that you do within the core mechanic or the core system, which we'll get to in a second. And so when you're looking at the character sheet, there's just not really a connection there, especially if you're looking at negative numbers and zeros or just +3 and the numbers are so low. So it just doesn't seem like this is a character that you can really, connect to. It just makes it kind of hard for you to care about your character. You know what I mean? It's just this disconnect with the character. And again, the aesthetics made the character creation process a little bit less enjoyable. So all of that said and done, at the end of the day, the best that I can do here, even though I could have given it a little bit of a better grade, best I can do on this is a B-. Okay, the core mechanic or the core system and how things get done in Cyborg is not bad. Actually, is reminiscent of Numenera and how they do things. You have your difficulty rating, which is on a chart, and then you set a difficulty rating for whatever else. That's going to be your target number. Add your modifiers. There you go. That's it. That's the core mechanic and how pretty much everything gets done. It's quick. It's simple. I like it. B. Now, combat also kind of takes its cue from Numenera a little bit more. And you'll see what I'm talking about here in a second. So how you do things is this very same thing as the core mechanic. There is a standard D12, or not D12. There is a standard DR of 12. So there is a difficulty rating of 12 to do anything in combat. That's where everything starts. Then you add your modifiers, and then you roll your 20-sided and you see if you hit. The problem that I have, there are a couple problems that I have with the combat system. One is initiative, right? Two, way too simple. Like you roll 1d6, if you roll a 4 or higher, you win. And if you don't, you lose. And there's no recourse. There's no plus or minus for a high agility, nothing like that. It's just the way it is. Win some, you lose some. Yeah, that's whack. Don't like that. I also don't like how they do the reloading of bullets for projectile weapons. So for example, if you got a gun and you shoot, a couple times, whether it be auto fire or just maybe you got a semi-automatic or just a revolver or something, who knows? And then you check to see if you ran out of bullets. Even if you would maybe shot once or twice, whatever, then what happens is that if you roll low, depending on if you auto fire or if you are using something that's semi-automatic or whatever, if you roll like a 1 through a 3, then you got to reload. What? That doesn't make any sense to me at all. At all. I mean, if you're gonna do that, just keep track of it. It's very simple. Just keep track of it. 1, boom. That's it. And keep going. It's not hard to keep track of that stuff. Tick a box or something and just keep going. Not a big deal. That is trying to make things too simple to a point to where it doesn't make any sense. That is not a good look. Now, they do have some other things that are cool that are part of the kind of base combat system. Crits, fumbles, things like that. Those things are good. They do have some optional combat mobs as well, but they're optional and they shouldn't be. They should just be part of the combat system, period. Therefore, it would be robust enough to where it's like, okay, we could do enough things in combat to where we're like really limited here. And at the same time, we don't have to get bogged down in too much detail because it's too much. Because of the whole initiative thing and the other stuff, got to give this a C at best. The advancement system leaves advancement pretty much in the total control of the GM. They will decide whether or not you advance or not. There's no actual system in place that will measure when you advance. This is whack. And there's a couple reasons why this is whack. Number one, it just adds another thing for the GM to do, kind of keeping track of who's going to advance, who's not going to advance. This is not what we need. We don't need more work. And this just adds more work. And it's an arbitrary thing. So it leads to the second problem because you can hear it coming, right? Okay, we're getting ready to advance. Well, I want to advance this. Oh no, you didn't do anything to advance. No, I did. I did this, and this. Yeah, but it wasn't quite enough to, I can see that conversation happening, people getting upset. Cats and dogs are raining from the sky and living together. It's mass hysteria. And then everybody breaks up the game because people got upset because they didn't advance when they thought they should. That's what a mechanic like that is screaming to happen. And even when you do advance, you don't get much of anything. get a couple of hit points. Maybe your ability may go up. That's a random thing. It might go up. And maybe you might get a random something over here. There's a little bit of a chance to get a little bit of something on a cred stick that's untraceable, and a couple other things that really don't matter. The advancement system is horrid. I think it's horrid. It's an F. So the lore in this game is pretty simple, straightforward, right? All corporations are bad. Capitalism is evil. That's the basic premise. That gives me a thumbs down immediately. Corporations are not evil. People are. You just really have to admit that at some point. You have good organizations and bad organizations because they are run by, all together now, people. So when I see this in any kind of creative endeavor, you know that this is the thing that the developers, writers, and everybody, this is the position they are taking most of the time. Understand something. You might be saying, man, that's a little bit too much, man. You're reading too much into this. No, I'm not. Every single writer on the planet, whether they do it subtly or whether they do it overtly or whether they bash you over the head with their ideology, which is what happens most of the time today, they do it in everything that they write. You can't help it. You have to. You can't help it. So when I see that capitalism is evil and that all corporations are bad and all the rest of this, and this is the backdrop of it, I give it a thumbs down right away. Because this is people who are really trying to push that thing in your face, and I don't dig that. I don't dig that at all. And there's no balance of explaining why in this game. If they gave me a good explanation to explain why, I could see, but nah, it's just that all corporations are evil. They have a million corporations in this game, and every one of them are bad. Yeah, I get it. Thumbs down. For real. Now, in the backdrop of this is the meteorites that are falling from the sky, giving people these strange abilities and also some wicked side effects if you're not careful. Okay, that part I like. I do like that part. So there's a plus and a minus when it comes to the lore as far as the kind of foundational backdrop of what's happening in the cyborg world. And then you have the actual Psi, which is kind of like the city where you're at, called Psi. This is, and again, this is a cyberpunk game, so you know, Psi, original, right? So they have all these different areas, and they kind of give you some information about each one of these different areas. That part's not that bad. They could have done a little bit more. They could have given you a little bit more love or something, but it's not that bad. The map is a hot mess, but again, that goes to the aesthetics. I hate the way it looks, but let's move on. And then we come to the corporation index, and they have all these corporations listed, and they only had like 3 lines for like each corporation, a paragraph that's really probably 1 sentence. And y'all couldn't do a little bit more than that. You give us some NPCs, you couldn't give us a little bit more background, you couldn't give us some maps on the corporation, couldn't have did that, right? That you couldn't have did. So this gets thrown at you with as little detail as possible. And I get what they're trying to do. Trying to make this a fast game so you can just get right into it and play it. Get it. Not for me. Not for me. So for this, we're going to have to give it a C-. Now, last, we're going to get into what I call system accessories, and like certain rules and things that either be a plus or a minus to the game overall. And one of them is called first impression. It's basically because of all these things that you have on you or may have on you, then your first impression when you meet someone, maybe a patron or a contact or somebody else. This is left up to a die roll. Bad. This is not good. Why is this left up to a die roll? This should be your presence ability and any modifiers for how you actually look, how you have actually described yourself. You know, maybe a +1, -1, -2, or whatever for first impressions, and not leave it totally up to a die roll. That's a thumbs down on, that's a thumbs way down. And also what should be a part of that is, guess what? The role playing. You can look good and then have a negative attitude, and it's a thumbs down for the first impression. People may just not like you because of the first time that they saw you. And sometimes you can't get that back. So it just depends on that. But to leave it up to a die roll, not a good look. Now this right here is kind of cool. It's a foreshadowing of the system itself, or the world itself, that, yo, this is so brutal, you might lose a limb, that kind of thing. And so just having it in there is, I think that's cool, you know, because you may never use it, right? Or something may happen. You just never know. And we're not talking about, this is just things for like prosthesis and stuff like that. This is not cyber tech. You're actually replacing limbs on purpose with stuff that can do extra things. Okay, this is not what we're talking about. This is just like, yo, it's so brutal out here. You just might lose a limb, might lose a hand, might lose a leg or a foot. So you got to sit back and go, oh shoot, maybe this is some serious stuff here. So I do like that inclusion. Just the inclusion of it is good. Another thing I like is the mission generator. Okay, this was fun. I went through this, and as a GM, if you want to do something rather quick, then you just roll on these tables to get all of the pertinent information that you need so that you can make a mission for your group. Dude, this was fun, just doing the mission and just seeing what would come up. Or you can like choose some of them and roll for some of them, or whatever. This was really fun. I had to give him a thumbs up on that, because that part was really fun. So there is another mechanic that I thought was really cool, but it took me forever because, again, aesthetics matter. I tried to look for it and I could not find it. I finally had to just go and do a find in the PDF that they gave me. Finally found it after several clicks of the arrow to find the thing. And the mechanic is cool. So basically there's this thing called Rage, and it basically you go berserk. And if you have cyber tech on you as a part of you, then it makes it more difficult not to go berserk. That mechanic right there is kind of cool, because when you go berserk, you just attack anybody and you attack people at the best of your ability. So that's a really cool thing, I believe. People, they don't know what Rage and why it's triggered and things like that. But apparently cyber tech makes it worse. Kind of losing your humanity. It's a psychological thing, is basically what you can infer from that. So that's a cool mechanic. So overall, when you're looking at all of these, I would have to give the accessories probably, let's give it a C. So after it's all said and done, folks, and we tally up all of the different aspects with their numerical values for their grade, it comes out to a C- for Cyborg, which means I'm not going to be playing this game. I do appreciate that Free League sent me the game to review, but after looking it over with a fine-tooth comb, this one is not going to be one for me. Now, you might be totally in disagreement with me, and I don't want you to take my review as the review. So I have a link for you down in the description below. It's going to take you straight over to DriveThruRPG. You can take a look at some other reviews over there and see what they have to say. These are people probably going to be fans of it anyway. And if you're a fan of this kind of stuff, then you probably just ignore what I'm saying, go over there and get it anyway. But anyway you look at it, the link is going to be down in the description below. Make your decision. I think it's like $24.99 for the game. So It's on you now. If you like this video, then go ahead, give a brother a little bit of YouTube algorithm love, even if you disliked my review and didn't agree with it. But if you thought I was being fair and I wasn't trying to be like just an ogre about the thing, I would appreciate a little bit of love, just a little bit of love and the effort. And also, hey, if you did like this, and even if you didn't agree, but you just like the way that I put it together or anything else on the channel, if you just want to stick around, then go ahead and hit the subscribe button and the notification bell as well. The question of the vid is this: how important are reviews to you in your purchasing decisions? Not just for tabletop RPGs, but also for just in general. How important are they for you? Go ahead, I want to know down in the comments below, and I do read them whenever I get a chance. I think everybody understands now I can't get to every single comment, but sometimes I will read through the comments and I'll be, give a thumbs up and a heart or something, and because that's about as much as I can do because I'm trying to make videos. All right, y'all, it's me, your boy Servant is about to do this thing.
So exit, stage left.
Happy gaming, y'all. If you got a game this week, I hope it's an RPG Elite session. Got a couple more videos for you as well. Go check out this Blade Runner one. Now, yes, it's long. You're probably not going to look at the whole thing, but it's worth the watch. And until next time, God willing, on Friday, a brother is going to catch ya on the flip. Peace. Hair grease.